Young men involved have talked publicly. Until now, we found Jamal Paris shopping at a 24-hour store in Colorado. Initially, he was reluctant to talk. Dale Russell at Fox 5 News in Atlanta. Can we talk to you for a second? But once he started, he told a riveting story about how as a young teen, a 14-year-old with no father in his life, he joined New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Bishop Eddie Long came into his life. He said Long said to call him daddy and to trust him with spiritual guidance.
I loved him, and I'm always going to have love for the things that he taught me. But how he left us, it hurt worse than anything I ever felt in my life.
Paris claims in his lawsuit the father-like figure used scripture to justify sex, and he lavished money, cars, jewelry, trips in the bishop's private jet, even homes for some teens, sometimes with funds from the church coffers.
You finally have a father that you've always wanted for and always dreamed of would just walk away from you if you don't give him what you want. So you end up turning into something you never thought you'd be, which is now a slave to a man that you love.
Jamal says the bishop began a slow sexual seduction, which became intimate and more intense after the young boys became of legal age.
So while the media and the press and the rest of the people around the city or around the country look at us like, how can a grown man let another man touch him? What you have to understand is this man manipulated us from childhood. This was our father and we loved him.
Through his attorney, Craig Gillen, Bishop Long has called the allegations in the lawsuits false. In the end, Paris says when the bishop loses interest in sex and sets his sights on other young men, the boys are left behind.
This man turned his back on us when he had no more need for us. That's not a father. That's a predator.
Paris says he attempted to resolve the matter privately with the bishop, but when that didn't work, lawsuits were filed publicly identifying the 4 young men accusing the bishop.
We would have to be the craziest kids in the world to want to come out and admit to another man touching on us publicly. To really believe this is about money would be absolutely ludicrous.
He says at one time he loved Bishop Eddie Long, but he can't escape the nightmare of what he says Long did to him as a young man.
I cannot get the sound of his voice out of my head, and I cannot forget the smell of his cologne, and I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body.
Jamal Paris, near the end of our interview, said he wanted to speak directly to Bishop Eddie Long, and he turned to our camera to do so.
But that man cannot look me in my eye and tell me we did not live this pain, while you can sit in front of the church and tell them that you categorically deny it. You can't say that to our face, and you know this. You are not a man, you are a monster.
And then Jamal Paris got into his car and drove off into the night. We tried to contact Bishop Long. His spokesperson told me that they will have a comment after they see this story. Now, tomorrow night, a lot more from Jamal Paris, including the behind-the-scenes story on those pictures we've all seen of the bishop in the bathroom. It's a fascinating tale. We'll have more from Jamal on our website, myfoxatlanta.com, including some sound bites from him that you didn't hear in the package. And you can follow all of my coverage through my Facebook and Twitter account as well. Tom?
Very compelling. The young man speaks with a lot of conviction. We hope to hear from Eddie Long on this. Why now, though, is the question. Why is he coming forward now?
He says, and he says this repeatedly in the interview, that he wants everybody to know this is not about money. He said, what I want to do in filing this lawsuit and the other young men in filing the lawsuits is make sure that no other young man like myself is ever hurt again. At one point in time, he just turned to me and said, enough is enough, this needs to stop. So that's what he says his motive is. Of course, Bishop Long has denied every one of these allegations, though he didn't flatly deny it in the sermon. He has said, I'm not that man and I'll fight. So obviously we're at the very beginning of what's going to be a long court battle.
Well, great work finding Jamal and hearing his thoughts on this entire ordeal.
Thanks.
Dylan, thanks. Count on Fox 5 News for all the latest developments on this still developing story on the air and online. Go to myfoxatlanta.com to see the full video of Sunday's comments by Bishop Eddie Long in his statement to the media later in that morning. Just look for the special coverage link right there on our homepage. Supporters